So now we've got some animation on the character. I'm just going to continue doing some skinning blend on this guy. So our spine 1 joint is done for the most part anyway. So moving down to the second joint in the bone chain for the spine. And let's just loop that. And loop that as well. 0.25, which is nice, and then we'll loop around with 0.1, and we'll probably have to get the underbelly and the sides of the fins for this as well. So let's loop those again at 0.25, and we'll also do it up the top as well. Let's get those 3. And we'll deal with this section here, which isn't going to deform too well for the moment. We'll get that in a minute. We'll come back to it. So let's just move down towards the tail, and we'll loop around on these sections as well. This is going to be our 0.5 blend weight again. So this takes this does take some time, but really spending some time now, you can get this to look really good without needing to rely on corrective shapes and things like that, even though you can rely on them for some things, and some things you're going to have to as well. If you're taking this to a feature film level, you do have to rely a lot on corrective shapes, but if you get this done nicely now, it just saves a lot of hassle in the long run. So let's come back to spine 3 now. So we're just trying to blend these weights in a little bit more. So let's move these to get the 0.2 to get in. So you'll notice that I've only really used 0.5, 0.25, and 0.1, and that's all I really need to worry about at this point. We can clean up the rest of the skinning later on. Let's run around here. So even with a character like this, there's not too many vertices, but going through this does take a bit of time. So just be patient, and you will get there eventually. It's normally at this point that I like to put on some really loud music as well. Or, I'm really bad for putting on a movie. I don't really watch the movie. I normally just listen to it, and it's really bizarre just to sit there sort of half watching a movie and not really thinking about this stuff. If you've done it a lot of times, you don't really have to think too much about where you're gonna be placing all of this this nice blend weight just to start it off. So it's quite a bit of a point where I can escape from whatever I'm doing throughout the day and just watch a movie and just get this done really quickly. I think that could put a lot of people off as well. I'm sure it does put me off at times, but it's just quite nice. Alright. So we're starting to move down to the tail now, so I have to think about where this is going to blend to. Alright. So we're down to the final spine joint anyway, which is good. 0.25 around here. And we'll get the last 0.1 in. Just loop that. And loop this around as well. And the last loop, which should be good. Alright, cool. Let's have a look at what we've actually got with this deformation now then. So you can see that this section here in the middle of the spine is actually looking quite nice. The head, like around this dorsal fin is really not looking too great, so we need to work on that. But that's actually looking really good. I really like this spine around here and stuff. We've got some nice pulling in the geometry. It's very evenly spaced already, which is really good. And let's see the side view as well. This is looking pretty cool. And the twist, which is probably the more difficult motion for this guy to get to. I mean, when we're looking at this as well, you always have to think there's a point where the animator could push this character too far, just beyond what he could actually do, even though he's a cartoon character. If he does need to get into, say, a position that is like this actually looks alright, actually. But if he needs to get into more of a spherical ball and he really needs to squish up a lot, then maybe some corrective shapes or a different rig might actually be used as well. So for the most part, I'm pretty happy with that for now. So I can go in and double click the root joint or the root locator, and I'm just going to get rid of the animation that we have on it and go back into AutoKey, and I'm just going to start setting some new keyframes on this, just so that we can get some different animation in for different parts of the character. Alright, that's cool. And why don't we just work down to the end? So let's grab these guys and start doing some stuff with them. Change the local. And I'm just going to put some animation on this. Alright. So let's grab, if I can grab the joint rather than grabbing the geometry. Let's just rotate this around. And I'm going to put on just the angle snap for this. Let's rotate this up to 50 degrees. And same for the bottom. And let's get these together as well. So we'll do another 50 down. So it's looking really tight. And I'm just gonna move one to the side and the other one the other way, just so I can get an idea of how this is gonna deform if it is moved in these specific ways, which I'm guessing, you know, the animator might actually want this in a little bit as well, so that's cool. Alright, so same thing again, we're just gonna go ahead, turn off the auto key, and we'll just start editing the nice blend weights for this. So let's just grab here, loop, and we'll do a 0.5. Alright, that's getting us somewhere already, that's cool. And 0.25, 0.1. Let's just take a quick look. Yep, that's looking a lot better already, I'm pretty happy with that. And we'll do the same for the bottom area, or the bottom tail. So 0.5, 0.25, and then 0.1. It's looking cool. Alright, now we have to, instead of using the spine, we'll have to use the tail just to come up. So we can't use the loop. If we do grab it and we use the loop for this, it's going to go all the way around our character, which isn't what I'm wanting. So actually we could use that, and I'll just remove the selection. So just holding down Alt and marquee selecting across, I can remove that selection that we don't need. So that could be 0.25 right there. And we'll get 0.25 on this one. And you'll notice I'm leaving one section available, one vertex here. This guy's going to be 0.1, along with all of these guys as well. Alright, let's take a quick look in perspective view of what that's actually going to look like. Alright, so that's pushing up quite a bit into this section, which we can clean up later on, or we can look at it now maybe. No, I think I'm going to leave that. It's got a nice smooth deformation over, even though it's pushing in too much. That looks quite nice when it comes down. It's pulling quite a bit. And that twist is quite cool as well. Alright, so we just need to do the top fin as well, or the top tail fin. So we can do the same thing again with that loop. We can grab here, we can loop it, and we can hold down Alt and marquee select to get rid of what we don't want selected. Let's get this in here. So I'm just control clicking and marquee selecting around so I can get those guys, and then 0.1 on this. Oh, let's get rid of that selection, I don't want that in. 0.1. And that should be cool. That's all the 0.1's done. So that's our tail done as well. So let's just have a quick look. Yeah, that's fine. We can clean that up in a minute. Alright, so that's looking pretty nice so far. Let's just, last thing to do is just let's remove that animation again, so we don't need that back tail animation. And we'll just set some keyframes. Back to 25. and 50 and 75 and 100 again. And we'll run through and just quickly do the animation for the rest of the fins. So let's just rotate that. So this is pretty extreme. I'm not sure that the animator would push it this far. I probably wouldn't myself, but it's still a good test just to see what we can actually get out of this character. So let's push it. Alright, let's move these up. So it's giving me a lot of motion just for not too many keys. And let's get the twist. Twist around. Okay, cool. I think that's good enough animation just to get some quick weighting in there as well. Alright, so we'll continue this in the next video where we'll go ahead and we'll just go in and start cleaning up the rest of these fins.